Hey there, Mama friend, and welcome to the 5-Minute Mom Podcast, where we'll talk about real life, real faith, real fast. To learn more about all of our co-hosts or to sign up for a free monthly resource email, be sure to check out all the links in the podcast show notes.
Hi, I'm Renee. Welcome to the 5-Minute Mom Podcast. Well, the holidays are getting closer, and I wanted to encourage you with permission and this truth. Mama, you do not have to do it all. This was not an easy truth for me to accept, but one I desperately needed to hear. I remember a few years ago sitting in my dining room, closing my eyes and pressing 2 of my fingers gently on my right eyelid, hoping that it would stop the eye twitching. It was early December and my brain would not stop listing all the things I needed to do, the gifts I needed to buy, the plans and decisions I needed to make. And then there was the laundry to wash, the dishes to do, the groceries to get, the appointments to schedule, the calls to return. I remember thinking, why doesn't everything else do itself in December so that I can handle all of the extra stuff that comes with the holidays? As I walked around my house in what had felt like circles trying to make progress, I could feel my chest getting tight. And maybe you know how that feels. I knew that I had to make a decision. I didn't want to resent December or dread Christmas, but I was the only one who could stop it from happening. And you are probably the only one that can stop it from happening to you too. So, do you know what I did? I sat down and I made a list of my nonstop thoughts, my ideas, my desires, and all of my expectations. Many of which I assumed others had of me, but also my own unrealistic expectations, and also our family's Christmas traditions. And then I looked at that list and took a deep breath and thought, no wonder I am overwhelmed and eye twitchy. It was just unrealistic to do all of the things that I had written down. And then I had a thought that I desperately needed to hear. You don't have to do it all. It kind of took me by surprise, and I argued with that thought, well, how can I not do some of these things? I've always done this and that and the other. And then another thought or sentence went through my mind. You don't have to do what you've always done. You could just do what matters most to you and to your family. It sounded like something Jesus would say to me. I knew that it was straight from his heart to mine. His grace-filled perspective shifted something in me, and it left me with this sense of release in my soul and a calm in my chest. And you know what? I decided not to do it all. I put up less Christmas decorations. I bought teachers' gift cards instead of gifts, and I did 95% of my shopping online. And then I wrote down all of the traditions that we usually did, and I circled the ones that mattered the most to me. And that night I sat down with my husband and I talked with him about it, and he suggested that I ask the kids and him to take over some of the responsibilities that I had always done around the holidays. One of the things that he suggested, which we ended up doing, was talking to our kids. Our boys were adults at the time, and they were both either married or engaged. And then our daughter was about 10 years old that Christmas. And we just asked each of them to list one tradition that mattered most to them so that we could make sure we focused on those things and not everything. So today, as the holidays draw near and maybe your eyes getting a little twitchy or your chest is feeling a little bit tight, I wanted to encourage you, sweet friend, that you don't have to do it all this Christmas. You don't have to do it all this Thanksgiving. Even Jesus knew that he couldn't do it all, even though he was God, because he had come in human flesh. He had human limitations, and he couldn't do it all. And he knew that his Father didn't expect or want him to. It reminds me of that verse that Paul talks about winning the approval of people in Galatians, where he says, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. The truth is, a lot of the pressure that we feel is because we are trying to please people. We're trying to please our kids or please our friends or please our extended family, or even like live up to expectations that we think are going to make ourselves happy. But what matters most is that we please the Lord, and He doesn't want us to live in a place of overwhelm where we have chest pains and eye twitches and where we dread December. He wants us to live in a place of joy and anticipation and simplicity, a place of surrendering, all of our list to Him and asking Him to give us a load that we can live with and really enjoy. If you're overwhelmed like I was, it is not too late to give yourself grace and ask God to help you trim your list back to what matters most. Talk to your family and ask for help. Set limits and plan more laid-back things like watching Christmas movies and drinking hot cocoa or going to see Christmas lights in your neighborhood. If you need to, bow out of some commitments and come up with a revised list you can live with and love. One that eases all of the eye twitches and chest pains. Amen.